couldn't tell from what my mom makes for me, because A, she's put under the pressure that she has to create something different every time. Even though I don't have to say anything, she puts herself under the challenge, which works out well for me. The most precious asset as of now that I own is my knife kit. I take pride in my knife kit. I make sure it looks very, very good. Comfort, challenge, or creative, adaptability.
From working with the ITC Hotels to leading a kitchen that uses mostly farm produce, the versatile chef Mythrayie Iyer can even dish up something with ants or use mango flowers for a delectable menu. Hear Mythrie's story on the Expressions podcast, where she talks about why creativity and innovation are key to good food, how her travels have helped blend flavors from different cultures, and why she rules the kitchen. Growing up, what did you cook for your mom and dad to please them?
It started off with a lot of upma. To be frank, one of the very first things I made was rava upma. It was nothing like an upma. It was probably like a kanji, like porridge, but it tasted good. I seasoned it right. Thank God there's enough salt in it that people could consume. So it's the earliest memory that I have of me being on the range. Apart from that, good tea pleases them a lot.
So, did they like that upma?
Upma, they had. Even my grandmother, grandfather were there, they also had.
Talk to us about your childhood friends. How did they influence you?
So I think from I was young, I had like different group of friends because I used to go to a lot of tuition. In Chennai. Yeah, Chennai. I mean. I was not somebody who could focus in school. I used to fail a lot till ninth. Then something happened over 10th. So I used to go to different tuition where I used to have different set of friends, and all of them coming from different parts of India. So they had their own food culture, and I think food is something that connected me with them more than anything else. I would never have a conversation with them about did you finish this lesson, or what did you study for exam, like what did Amma cook today. Like that was all I was interested in. I think I was more close to their moms than to them. Just would go to their house after that, eat, and then be very shameless to leave immediately also. So that is something. So a lot of Malayali friends back in school. So like a lot of flavors from that part of the world used to be my favorite thing to eat. Yeah, parampuri, something. Every evening almost something with bananas used to be there. So yeah.
What is the first thing that you cooked professionally? What do you remember?
I think I made one halwa. It was Kashmiri cuisine, if I'm not wrong. In college, we're making a sort of a halwa with dry fruits and nuts. It turned out to be rock. Mine. Literally like rock. If I throw it on somebody, they will get hurt. I still remember my friends making fun of me. Like, what is this? You come to culinary school, you made a rock. But yeah, I think it was fun only. Like, I had to be that dumb to be where I am today.
Why did you choose the Manipal Academy for your culinary science course?
So I genuinely, I mean, uh, I know there will be a lot of. I like Indian education. I'm a big fan of Indian education. I'm sure there are a lot of people who would disagree with me on this, but I generally like. I generally like a bit of strictness, a bit of discipline that Indian education puts you through. It is not always necessary. It brings out a little bit of not the good sides also, but I like it. It works well for me. So I knew that I wanted to do my initial education in India only. And but I was never, I never thought I would become a chef in terms of my like profession. I wanted to do BITS Pilani. I wanted to become a biochemical engineer. So did BITS train for IIT also, but IIT is something I knew I would not crack. It was too difficult for me. I knew it, but I still did it to see where I would fall. Um, BITS got through. There were two more interviews. There was almost one interview, and every day I used to eat, sleep, read, study. That's all I was doing, and then put on a lot of weight. Then I was still eating one day, and mom said, "Mythri, I think eventually you should marry a chef only." I said, "Mom, why can't I become a chef?" She said, "Possibility, but we are Brahmins, so I don't know if it would be okay to cook non-vegetarian. I don't know if I mean none of us in our family are into this, were in this field." So they had no idea, or they could not guide me also either. They said, I don't know if a vegetarian chef is like a chef dish cooking vegetarian is possible. So think about it. So I thought about it. I woke up the next day and I was just looking through different institutes, and Manipal came in, and then I didn't want to do a hotel management degree. That much I knew for sure. Because service, housekeeping, or something I was not interested. I came across this course called Culinary Arts. It was the first batch. It was a trial batch. And then I said, okay, before I applied for it immediately, and I knew one of my dad's friend who knew somebody in GRP Hotel in Chennai. So I just said, Chef, can I come to the hotel? I just somehow connected. I went to the hotel and I first went to the butchery just to see how I feel. I walked into the butchery, they were butchering, if I'm not wrong, they were butchering beef and didn't feel anything. Just saw blood, like didn't feel anything at all. I just turned back and said, I think I can handle this. And then went to Manipal, just it's
Were your parents supportive?
dad a little bit no. He'd still say like, do you have to like work this hard? And he runs a he does wooden flooring and works with a lot of architects. He's somebody he wanted me to take over his business. So that little bit of this thing is there with that I think. But mom, even irrespective, they're very supportive. Yeah.
Nice.
What do you worry about? Do you worry while you're cooking?
No, no. Well, cooking, no. I mean, even if it doesn't come out, I mean, this is something I've developed over the years, of course, but fear of failure has gone down a lot. I mean, initially I used to be like, is it going to come out nice or not nice? But I think eventually, since always been challenged to do something different or creative every day in both the places I've worked until now, so
How did you overcome the fear of failure?
failing regularly.
So that helps.
Yes, that helps.
And what did you love about what you do?
The sort of satisfaction when you send out a perfect plate out, and a sort of satisfaction when the plate comes back clean. And then there's a nod every time somebody takes a bite of what's on the plate. It's like, look forward to such moments.
How do you feel watching people enjoying your food?
Say beyond words, I don't know how to express it. It is like you did something for somebody to forget everything about the day or the moment and just like what they're experiencing at that moment. And that even though you're not connected to them, you could do that for somebody is good. Yeah.
How important is presentation of the dish, or is it mostly about how it tastes?
Of course, at any given point in time, for me, taste is a preference. But I also believe that when food looks good on the plate, you first eat with your eyes. So if food looks good and smells good, I think 40% of your job is already done there. And then temperature, taste takes care of it. Yeah.
Do you have the knack of cooking with whatever is available?
Yes, I have developed.
Give us an example.
So at restaurant Family where I work at, we're always challenged. I mean, there are a couple of restaurants who say, who work with the farmers in such a way that saying that in this season, grow me certain things, and I'll put them on the menu. At Farm Load, almost on a weekly basis, we get to know what's going to be the produce of the week one day before we plan the menu. Sometimes, literally. So you don't know what you're going to be presented. It's like
So is it stressful?
it's stressful in a good way. If you take it in a good way, it is stressful. I'm not going to say it's not stressful at all. But you have a team who's going to be together with you and brainstorm and do something. So it's more exciting than stressful, I would say, to see how it comes out. And not all the times all the menus come out to be so great. There are always ups and downs in the menu. But that's important for other dishes to shine. You can't always have a menu that's everything cannot be stars in a menu.
I'm also curious about this 5-course menu that you offer. I'm not from Bangalore, so can you tell us more about it?
So when we started Farm Load, the story of the farm, we figured that people who are growing the produce for us at the restaurant, like at the farm also, they are also not somebody who's trained to do for a restaurant. So they are farmers who take care of the entire land and try and grow things. And a certain of it is what the restaurant uses. So Chef Johnson, when we started off, he said, and we followed it almost for a year and a half, that depending on the produce of the day, we had to do something. And then eventually we looked at the pattern that we were getting a particular produce for a week. So almost for 74 weeks, we did menus every week. That was a challenge. That was the only challenge he put me and my sous chef on. So three of us have to sit every Sunday and figure out what's growing for the next week and do it. So we took it as a challenge, and the team, fortunately, even now, touchwood, we have a really nice, young, very vibrant team who like to push themselves to learn and grow with us. So that is something. Even the 10 course used to change every week then. So 74 weeks of different 5 course and 10 course. What is there in the 10 course will not repeat in the 5 course, vice versa too. So that we call it a prologue. Basically, we tell our guests what could be the ingredients of the month by walking through the prologue, and that's about it. Sometimes what techniques, what dishes we are going to put on the table is something even we don't know till that morning of.
It's very instinctive.
Sometimes, yes.
You
And
don't have to plan it out.
we try and plan out if there is a technique that we need to do well in prior. If it's going to be a dish where the techniques and the ingredients are in such a way that it is more fresh, very less handled, then we try and do it that morning itself to see how it comes out. And most of it, like I said, is intuitive cooking. There are some dishes that we've not tried out at all, but we just know that these ingredients will work together. We do it.
So, what is it? What cuisine is it?
So we don't have a cuisine; it's ingredient driven. So we call it eclectic or intuitive. Like I said, eclectic basically meaning we try and work with chefs across the globe, different people. I won't even say chefs. Anybody and everybody who can give us inspiration from the past to the future of what they can do, and then we try and put in work those techniques around ingredients that grows in our farm, and a lot of local culture influences because we are staying in Karnataka. We talk about local produce sustainability. It doesn't make sense to import a lot of things. So see how those techniques will work in our ingredients and put a menu.
You spoke about Chef Johnson. Where is he from?
He's also from Chennai.
Okay.
So he had a restaurant back in Malaysia called Nadodi, before which he was almost over 8 years in US traveling and working for cruises, Disney. So he opened a restaurant called Nadodi in Malaysia, got featured in the Michelin Guide. So then he wanted to do something back in India because he's from India. He reconnected with one of his old friends, Kaushik Raju, the Raju family, who owns the ACT Fiber Act. So they connected. Kaushik was always interested in food. He used to travel across the globe to eat, like in restaurants like Fat Duck, all these places. So they said, okay, let's do something back in India. So before they even started, they put up a team, a very small team. There was me and one more person, Avinash. So there were just 4 of us who used to do everything for almost 2 years. Just work around a menu, around a particular theme, pop-ups, sell tickets, take everything in our cars, bring back everything. And after almost 2.5 years is when Farmlord came in and the rest of the team.
How long did it take to come up with this unique concept?
2.5. 2.5. And before that, we were going to open a restaurant called Youve in the center of the city.
Okay.
But since it was a bigger project and COVID hit, we didn't know if it was going to turn out. We didn't want to take a chance with a bigger project. And Farmlord was plan B, to do something after 5 or 6 years. And then we said, okay, let's start the smaller project first. And eventually it worked out so well for us that it became the only plan as of now.
Anything that was interesting or fun during this planning? What was your learning from this?
I think I personally myself learned how interesting it is to open a restaurant and run a restaurant. Farmlord is, I would say, definitely the only restaurant in India where the chefs run it. Literally, the chefs run everything possible that you think of, from the smallest plumbing work to finishing and sending off a guest is something that chefs take care of at the restaurant. So we're very proud of it. So to run a restaurant just by the chefs, I saw the whole journey of how it can be, and where all being a chef doesn't work good in a restaurant and where all it does, and how to manage both and become a restaurateur or entrepreneur than a chef by itself is something that I think I take out of this place of the restaurant.
What's the craziest dish you've made?
Craziest dish I would like to make.
Tell me about it more.
Okay, so recently I was discussing something with a friend of mine. So the only thing that we do regularly on a daily basis is just randomly throw ideas. So I want to create this dish where you eat that would be the last bite of the meal or something like that, and flavors of depending on what season something I'll come up with. Eat it and you burp,
Okay.
and then the flavor of the dish is something that should come all around. That's something that goes around. That's a dish that I want to work on and create. It has to be the verb has to come,
Wow.
and then you need to, like, example, I'm working with rose and beetle leaf. All that you should smell in your entire face is rose and beetle leaf. So I want to work on a dish like that. That is the recent one I've been thinking about.
Okay.
Something fun. Yeah.
The most imaginative dish that you've made so far?
Imaginative dish, I would like to say the one that I worked on for the competition, San Pellegrino. A very story-driven plate. Technical as it could get with the 5 hour time limit I was given, but spoke a lot in terms of its story behind it. So the concept was called barter. So basically, how the cuisine of India changed after the Age of Discovery. So Age of Discovery was the 15th century when the Portuguese came into India for many reasons, and how they got in ingredients from the South America with their conquering over there. And then example, tomatoes, chilies were never part of India. And now if anybody could tell one dish in India barring tomatoes and chilies, I'm sure you can't think of it either. So the dish was in such a way that how the cuisine of India was before the 15th century and how it was after the 15th century after Vasco da Gama came in. That was the concept of my plate.
Very nice.
So yeah.
So how was it appreciated? What was this competition about?
So the San Pellegrino is one of the very prestigious competitions for a lot of budding chefs, especially under the age of 30 only.
Where does it happen?
It happens in 3 rounds. So first you apply, and then second you go to the zone that you're from. So in this case, we fall under South Africa, Middle East, and Africa, Middle East, South Asia.
Yeah.
So is where India falls under the zone.
And you won an award also.
Yeah, I won the championship, regional championship, and I was in. Thank you. I went to the finale in Milan.
Okay.
That was the 2023. It's a 2-year journey. This entire thing happens over 2 years, and you need to create a dish. So the thing is that when you submit your dish in the first time, you need to know what you're cooking for finale. You cannot change your dish through the 2 years. So you need to give such a strong concept that it is possible that for the topic to take you to for the concept to take you to the finale. So that was my mistake. So 2 dishes. First dish was something with rich gourd, tori.
Yeah.
Drumstick, not the chicken drumstick, the drumstick vegetable moringa, aubergine, fenugreek, black pepper, and ingredients like this, because the Portuguese came in for the black pepper only. They wanted to give something and take the black pepper back home. So the other dish, since they came through the sea, I did with lobster because seafood, and then worked with ingredients like chilies, tomatoes, corn, cashews. So what the ingredients weren't repeated and kind of showed what it could have been and what it is right now.
What are the cookbooks you treasure, and do you have any favorites?
I love reading about fermentation.
Yeah, I did.
I'm still a big fan of anything related to science.
Yeah.
Just builds curiosity, I think, science. So I love to put food and science together at every given point of time, and even in kitchen generally.
The chemical change.
Yes, to see. I think it makes you question a lot and also come up with solutions when things go wrong. So, example, something splits. You kind of know why these 2 ingredients split and what could bring them together if you understand the science behind it.
So anything, can you give us an example of this?
So basically, an example is we use siphons to something that aerates.
Yeah.
So we use a lot of stabilizers because the emulsion that is inside the siphon can go under heat or cold depending of what the dish is required. And since the stabilizer is used, the stabilizer kind of holds all the ingredients together. But when the stabilizer is not used in a particular proportion, the foam doesn't come out the same way as it should. Say example, the stabilizer is used at a particular proportion of 1:10 and it creates the foam. But if it's not kept at a particular temperature, the foam might not look as shiny or as even as it should. And sometimes during the service or chefs forget. I mean, like, okay, this should have been there 5 minutes back, it was kept 2 minutes back, so it affects the temperature. So at that point of time, you should know, just put it into the hot water bath for about 30 seconds for it to just cool down. So when you shake it, the emulsion comes out. So small things as into how temperature,
And
texture,
timing.
viscosity, all this, you understand, cooking becomes a little more easier, I believe.
Is there some creative dish that you came up with for this process of fermentation?
So one of the favorite dishes I think of farm load for staff and for guests were the miso ice cream.
Yeah.
So this fermentation we started off even before opening farm load. So there are a couple of ferments which was about 2.5 to 3 years old to the restaurant before the restaurant opened itself. So one of them was the sesame miso.
Okay.
So we made a sesame miso ice cream which tasted like a very nutty version or like an aged version of a sesame chicky.
Okay.
But yeah, so something that blew our minds off. Like the first time I mean, I'm a self-taught fermenter.
Yeah.
So nobody taught fermentation for me. So that's the part I love about fermentation because A, you don't know how it's going to turn into. Time is the only thing that will show you how the transformation. So you always are up for a. You can only be curious with fermentation because you don't know what the outcome is. And yeah, it's fun to see how it turns out into things that you might not expect. So in India, miso ice cream might be new.
Yeah.
I mean, abroad in Japan and Copenhagen, yes, of course, it's way old, but to try it out from scratch to that was nice.
Even dosas and idlis are from fermented batter, so the concept is not really new to India.
Correct, but have like generally even now, like now that you've told, I'm curious to know why somebody has not fermented it in a different way to see what would have happened.
Yeah.
Just out of curiosity. Even I haven't. Now that when you told me those are idlis fermented, I'm like, yeah, but why didn't we do something with it? So yes.
When you're in this process, can you give us a deep dive into probiotic preservation methods?
So we don't think so much into the probiotic preservation methods when it comes to a fermenter as much. We try and see how it could be fermented in different ways and what could usually be the catalyst or enzyme that can thrive on this. So usually from salt to sugar to vinegar, that we try and see ingredients that we can work with and preservation methods rather than diving deep into the nutritional aspect of it. I mean, to be frank, that is something that I have not gotten myself into. Still a long way to go in terms of learning, but eventually, if I plan on doing something with fermentation as a retailer, then I would look into that as also.
You mentioned about two chefs who inspired you.
Yeah, like I mean, two of them are just out of the box I named, but generally a lot of chefs like Andre Chiang, who had a restaurant in Singapore, Noma, of course, David Zilber in terms of fermentation, Johnny J in fermentation again, Matt Orlando, Dan Barber, Christian Puglisi. So all these small chefs, small, big, irrespective. I think chefs that I mentioned are people. One trait they all have in common is they always want to do something different.
Yeah.
Not even sustainability. Yes, sustainability definitely.
Yeah.
They try and do something very very different, and they have a very good sense of how they like to keep comfort and creativity together. That's something that I personally like to when I create a dish. Irrespective of how creative the dish can be, it needs to feel a little comforting. It cannot be outrageously something experimental that even I can't eat on a daily basis. So I like to keep that very good balance with comfort and creativeness.
I was reading about Matt Olalu. who also uses fermentation for kimchi and with potato. Have you also tried out these fermentation methods?
Potato bread and all that. But right now he's moved on to a new project with, if I'm not wrong, they're trying to do chocolate.
Air.
Yes, air, yes. So that's a new project he's working on. It's something I look up to from my times in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Have you also tried out these fermentation methods?
Yes, depending on, of course, what is the availability in India.
Besides miso ice cream, anything else?
So, yeah, example, even the aubergine glaze that I said was something with fermentation. We recently did a banana mirin. So, with overripe bananas from our farm, we tried and made a mirin. And once the mirin was harvested, which is a liqueur, we dried the lees of it, the residue of it, which turned into a banana flour, and try and made a petit four out of it for the restaurant, the 5 course and the 10 course. So a zero, like a complete circle in terms of how we love to use our ingredients.
Ever thought of creating a specialty food store?
Maybe in the future, something to do with fermentation. A lot of thoughts actually coming up. If I had to do something in the future, I think, like I said, it would be more of a creative space than a restaurant by itself. I want to work with like-minded people. It would never be a project that's done by just me. I'd like to bring people together to do something, and I think it's in the making. We have to see when it will just.
How do you come up with new ideas?
As much as even after this interview, if I go for a cup of coffee with you, I'll try and take something out of it. It's very. I mean, I try and take inspiration from random thoughts. I think that's why most of my conversation with people is around food, is randomly asking, like, from what did you eat yesterday to what does your mom like to cook? Where are you from? Like small questions, something will trigger their food nostalgia or something they'd like to talk, because food is very easy to connect people with food. Like 90% of them love food. 10 people who don't like to talk about food, I generally don't talk to.
What's your favorite street food?
Has to be pani puri.
Okay.
Yes.
Have you tried Kolkata's pani puri?
Kolkata, Bombay, yes. Bombay, Delhi. Definitely Kolkata I have not been to yet.
Okay.
So, yeah, pani puri competition I go for, yes.
Yeah.
How many have you managed?
72.
Okay.
I won also. So, pani puri, momos. If I'm in Chennai, of course, kuri paniyaram.
Not the mangas?
Manga, okay. Not so much. Manga, if I happen to go to the beach, yes. Bhaji. Yes, definitely. Beach pona, definitely bhaji. And the beach chutney. I mean, yeah, weird chutney, but it's nice.
If you could travel anywhere in the world to eat or learn, where would you go and why?
I can't name a single place, but definitely
What are 3 places?
somewhere destination I want to go and learn and eat and learn would be Korea, South Korea.
Why?
South Korea, I love the flavors of the food generally, because a lot of acidity, a lot of fermentation. I generally like textures of their food. Korea and Japan, I like a bit of chewiness in my food. So that draws me towards those 2 countries. I'd like to go to Istanbul to see their meat culture, and I want to eat there also. And one more place, probably somewhere in Latin America.
What or who is inspiring you right now? Maybe an ingredient or place or
I
person?
think right now it has to be Chef Dan Gusti. So it's been running on my head at least for a couple of weeks now, since you said right now, that came to my head. So he's this chef who used to head Noma, and then eventually moved back to the States, and he right now runs, I would say, like a organization that caters to schools and chefs, schools in US. So basically, he's put regular schools like kindergarten to normal schooling. So basically, educating them on the story of food, from how it grows to how it can come to. So they're doing a project on that, like a program on that. So he's somebody who inspires me. So, like, I've been thinking a lot about how it makes a lot of difference to put a food for thought when they're very young,
Yeah.
around food. So he's something that I'm inspired with, where just accuracy and putting out a great looking plate is not everything that chefs can do.
Is there any style or anything about him that you like in particular?
I love the fact that he saw food just beyond fancy or like comfort reasons, a reason behind it. So, like to be that person to, put a thought or nurture people from young to do something different or to see food very differently.
Do you follow any Ayurvedic or Sattvic form of cooking?
No. But
You did mention you like Kerala food.
yeah, I love vegetarian food because I've grown up eating. It sits in my body very well, generally vegetables. So I love working and trying to do something new with vegetables at any given point of time. But I don't do anything close to Sattvic or Ayurvedic. Don't follow anything also.
Talking about Kerala, do you like fish?
I love seafood.
Yeah.
I love seafood. It has to be like my once in even now after this interview I'm going to Mangalore for a eat. So yeah, that's the plan. Seafood has to be there once in a month at least, just a seafood meal.
Okay.
What are the most essential kitchen tools a chef must have?
A good knife.
Where do you source it from?
Right now, since after many years of being in the industry, I've started to work with chef makers, like chef knife makers. Who right now I'm getting knives from sous chef who I worked in Malaysia. He's a knife maker too. So Musaru. So I get it from him. A good knife, a good sharpening stone. The need to learn how to keep your knives sharp always. That's something that a lot of people, yes, a lot of chefs don't emphasize on for at least the foundation. These two as main, sharpening stone and a knife. Apart from that, what if you're into a really good restaurant, tweezers, off spat, all that. But a knife to start off with is very very essential.
How often do you sharpen them?
Depending on what ingredients also I use them on, from a week to 2 weeks.
This is something different. Suggest 3 ideas for mums to pack for their children. Something healthy yet different.
Shit, very difficult. Okay, I'm going to tell from what my mom makes for me.
Yeah.
Because she's put under the pressure that she has to create something different every time. Even though I don't have to say anything, she puts herself under the challenge, which works out well for me. So she does a lot of yogurt bowls, but very random ingredients also put into it. Random ingredients, not for me, of course, in the sense I'm used to eating up that food, but like generally like Thai semia. Thai semia is something that people don't eat a lot, but made very differently, it can taste amazing. That's something that recently is nice. And a version of Korean pancakes. Basically, any kind of vegetable, just to increase the intake of vegetables, along with a bit of flour to just hold it up, and you can make it into something really crispy and build something on it.
Okay.
It can turn into a quesadilla. It can turn into sort of, if you put more things on top, like probably eggs, cheese, something, it can turn into something really nice. That's something that she made recently. She makes a lot of Buddha bowls, but that's not for kids. That's probably moms can make it, like they can eat it. So yeah, there's something. But my latest obsession for breakfast, lunch, or dinner is tempe.
Yeah.
I'm starting to love tempe.
Yeah. I agree with you. I went to Japan recently, and that was the only way I could get my children to eat vegetables.
Okay.
Yeah. So I agree with you.
What is your most important asset?
I don't know, my knife kit.
Yeah.
As of now, the most expensive and the most precious asset as of now that I own is my knife kit. Lot of years of planning that's gone into how I built it. So yeah.
I have to see that one day.
Yes, definitely. I take pride in my knife kit. I make sure it looks very, very good.
What do you do to feed your soul?
It has to be any form of fitness.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing that keeps me sane. I genuinely believe
Tell us more about it.
It started off as something that, because my sister and myself, very chubby kids, started off as just working out. But even when we were young, I think very different family where my parents never like, we're very different in the fact that we hate screens, don't like to sit in front of the TV, or I personally don't like to use the mobile even now. So I'm not exposed to a lot of things on the internet like generally a person would be. I hate screens, so we always used to be outdoor, irrespective of whatever it is. Just be on the streets till mom says it's time for dinner or it's time to sleep. So being like that since childhood, I think even now there's not a single day that I don't do some form of workout, and fitness has gone beyond just form or size. I think it keeps me active throughout the day because it's a very physically demanding job as well, because we stand for about 14 to 16 hours. And yeah, so that keeps me sane. That gives me a sort of stress buster, makes me feel good, look good. So yeah,
You do boxing and I read that.
any form of fitness. If I get bored with something over 1 year, I try and keep moving. So in that ways, from squash to badminton to boxing to wrestling to weight training to anything, animal flow. Recent love is animal flow. So yeah.
Yes.
When did your career take that vital turn?
Then I went to Noma. Definitely. I mean,
Yes, ma'am.
more than just what the career kind of turned for me in terms of how people started noticing what you have to, where you are, what you're doing. I think as a person, professionally and personally, I think it changed a lot of things for me in how to see life. I don't think I picked up a lot of cooking skills in Noma. I think rather I learned how to think differently about food, about how to run a restaurant, how to be with people is something that I picked up over the journey.
What is it that about be with people that you look for?
So you learn how to work with people differently, how to use their strengths
Yeah.
differently, how to sort of be a mirror in terms of getting work done, but still maintaining a very good relationship with them. How you take care of people who work with you, eventually things will take care of themselves. And so therefore, I think our work-life balance at Farmwood that we follow comes from there. And how the team is very, very friendly. We feel more like one family rather than just people coming together to work. And how we also believe that you should always be challenged, and yet the sense of we love to put people in uncomfortable situations in the restaurant, yet know that they're still in safe hands, so that they're not scared that they'll fail miserably, because not everybody can work under pressure differently. So yeah, that's something I learned from Noma too, because every week, even though the menu is so elaborate, they try and change people who are working in that station, because they would like to know what can go wrong. It is not always doing right. They would like to know what can go wrong. So they try and keep putting different people at different things. So that's something again
Yeah.
we do at Farmwood.
What is the one thing about your restaurant or kitchen that your guests knew?
Something I don't see much in India. I mean, of course, it has changed for Farmwood a lot, but to see chefs beyond just people who cook, that's something that I wish guests see, and put a little more time into reading. We love sometimes when guests at the restaurant do some background check on who we are and try and come and make conversations. The industry has evolved and is evolving more towards that side, where it needs to be two-sided rather than just being the service industry.
Having limited seating, do you have to say no to a lot of guests at Farmlore?
A lot sometimes. Started off by not being received really well, that they thought we were arrogant or something like that. Even now, we're very strict about timings. We tell guests that if you go late to catch a flight, the flight is not going to wait for you, right? The same thing is our experience. So never a movie will stop. So we give the same examples. But so yeah, they say no, but they understand why we're saying no. And it makes even more sense when if they make that effort to make a reservation, come and dine with us again, And then they kind of fully understand why we said no, that a walk-in is not something that we encourage.
Yeah.
Just for sustainable practices that we have put in place and we like to follow them.
What's the one thing someone had told you before you started?
That nothing comes easy. That nothing comes easy, and at least with being a chef, if you want to be known outside, you need to. So I think I became a chef because I don't like to talk much. I am very, very antisocial, and I like to just work and not have a lot of conversation or people around me. But I think, like I said, the industry and the chefs have evolved so much that communication is a key to anything that you have to do with the kitchen also. Something I didn't know that I had to develop. It took me a lot of time, and not liking it, of course, the process. But I think now I am good. Like I see why it's important.
In some videos, Jamie Oliver is poetic or expresses himself while cooking. Do you also feel that way?
So I don't compare myself to anything with Jamie Oliver. I mean, no offense, he's who he is. He's done great things, but
No, it's just the expressing.
no, not anywhere close. I think I'm still a very, very chef-like outside also.
Okay.
That switch is something that I find it difficult to make sometimes. Even generally, as when I talk, if people know me well, they eventually come to know that I'm doing something with cooking or I'm a chef. That attitude of a chef is there in me a lot. He's little more flexible and nice. Yeah.
What's your advice to newcomers?
Attitude.
Yeah.
Attitude is everything in the kitchen. Like we have a couple of rules that we always believe and say. You need to be a sponge in the kitchen. Whatever is thrown at you, try and take it at least the initial years. So for me also, the first 3 to 4 years is what molds you to what you will look or behave or work, how you'll work in the kitchen. Everything depends on the first 3 4 years. Which chef you work with, what kind of restaurant, what is the environment, what's the culture. Are you asked to be hands-on, or are you asked to be? Are you asked to do other things? So all that depends. So if your attitude is right, and you just and kitchens can get very tough, very rough sometimes. It's not as nice as it looks. So you also need to know nothing is personal in the kitchen, because everybody and that pressure, you have to serve so many people, and people crack differently. Some people use foul language, some people cry, some people laugh, some people just rush out of the kitchen. So you just need to know how to handle the situation, yet know that the next day is a new day and nothing is being taken. So attitude is everything in the kitchen.
Okay.
How can one eat an elaborate meal and yet feel good?
Balance how much of carbs, fat, how you balance out every plate. So if you see at the restaurant also, like carbs is something that we give almost at the end of the main course, just as a filler, in case somebody has a little bit of space in the stomach which a carb can fill, so that they feel that they're ready for desserts. That is the only reason that they give carbs at all sometimes. And of course, being in India, doing Indian cuisine, it doesn't make sense if I remove carbs. So I do that. We do that, of course, at the restaurant. But if you balance out the meal in a very nice way, even at the restaurant, we were told that our meal is has lesser calories than 2 plates of French fries.
Oh, I like that.
So because it's balanced out in such a way that if you're not overloaded with fat or carbs, there are some dishes where we use zero fat. It's not required if it's fresh. So yeah.
Do you have any tricks to dice vegetables or meat?
No tricks as such ever evolving. No. They don't have any tricks, but you need to find out what cooking method might work the best to them, to see how to use them in different ways. So, example, we have this breadfruit that comes in different seasons in Karnataka from Mangalore. So recently, when I went to Devakan, they were using breadfruit also in a very different way. They salt baked it, and it became so soft, like a mashed dough, that actually it looked like a chapati dough. And you could roll it out, make it into any sort of flat bread or any kind of bread with zero flour and nothing else required. So it's salt baked, so the vegetable has absorbed enough salt, so you don't need anything else. and the restaurant we smoke it or we do something else where it gets a different kind of flavor. So you just try and experiment different cooking techniques on different ingredients and it comes out very differently.
What do you do when you're not cooking?
Eat, meet people, of course, work out, chill with friends. Recently trying and listening to music because of new companions.
Do you listen to music while cooking?
No, so my sister is a singer, of course, and I am a lot into regional music, to be frank. I haven't exposed myself to a lot of outside music either because we started off, I mean, both of us learned Carnatic music and always around people of the same industry back then, since my sister's was there. So I think majority of our music is very indie, local, like that too from Chennai, a lot of them. So that. But right now I'm listening to other 70s, 80s music from different genres, trying to adapt and see which one might suit my, yes,
Mood.
Are you a perfectionist?
yeah, a lot. That doesn't work well for me sometimes,
Yeah.
but yes, try
Doesn't
and
work for anyone actually.
yeah, but yeah, correct. Sometimes it does. When it works out, you feel really, really good. Sometimes it, doesn't work out well for you and for people around you also.
Yeah. So do you want to change that? How would you?
No, I want to work around it. I don't want to change it. I like the fact that I am like that. So, like to work around it and find people who can work around that.
Can you suggest some must visit restaurants in Copenhagen or where you've traveled abroad?
Italy, of course, a three Michelin star restaurant, Piazza Domo. Not because it is a three Michelin star restaurant. It is a really a restaurant for, of course, people from the industry should like visit and take inspirations from. Copenhagen, I love Beast. They have a great charcuterie and pizza. One night was really good, but I think right now the chef is doing Koan CPS that I've not been to, but I really want to. Then Bar is one of my favorite restaurants in Copenhagen again. Really good food in terms of comfort, creativity I was talking about. Geranium, of course, and Alchemist is any kind of experience. Like it is the experience in Copenhagen that one should do. Apart from that, my local places in Bangalore would be Nava Project, would be Harima, the Japanese restaurant, would be Naru Noodle Bar. I like Wine in Progress for what they're doing because recently wine, like I've started drinking wines. Then I like Mudde Muddappa for their muddes and Shivaji Military Hotel. Yes, couple of these.
What are the top ingredients that have to be in your kitchen?
It has to be butter, sourdough, eggs. I would like to say guava.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, I love guava as a fruit. Like need to eat at least one guava a day. One orange or guava. One of these two. Milk, preferably oat milk. Coffee. Chilies. Yeah. And then
Any ingredient that fascinates you?
mango flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So mango flowers is something I've loved working. I've all the 5 years I've worked with. Since it's a mango grove, we've used every part of the mango, literally from the young leaf to the flowers to trying and doing till the overripe mangoes is
And
something.
what flavor does it give?
It gives a very something like a raw guava, but little more smell that makes your mouth salivate that a raw mango has. So when you eat a raw mango, that mouth salivates. The smell of the flower itself makes you salivate. Yes.
When you have to get to the top, one has to make many sacrifices. What's it for you?
Sacrifices of many days of no sleep.
But it's something you love doing, so even then, mostly.
Yeah, I mean, even then, for many months of no sleep, Prioritizing learning over money making, uh, days of just work, like having your own savings that can only save you. Like when you want to see, I mean, I'm a person who loves to do internships at any given point of time, even if my job doesn't let me or won't support me to do this internship, I will still go do it. Like the Noma internship, I just left ITC and I went there. I didn't have any plans after that. And then at some point of time, of course, my savings got over because I didn't earn as much back then. So there are days when I would not eat, still go and work and figure out a way to eat at the restaurant. Few days like that. And not all places you might settle well in terms of who you are as a person. Like in all my travels, not all my travels ended up being great. I had certain travels that didn't work out anything good. Like Portugal, the restaurant that I worked in, everything was great, but I didn't like it great as a city. It was not the best times for me. So yeah, you go through different things at different times, but you see beyond why you're there at that place, and that drives you to do that.
You spoke about ITC. Can you share your experience there?
Yes.
And what contribution did you make there? And what was your learning?
So I got into the story of it. So after placements in college, ITC. So that year, all of us were placed in ITC Gurgaon, Manesar, which was a new hotel that had come up.
Yeah.
So all the management trainees were posted over there for the next 1.5 years that we had to train. And me being the only South Indian in my batch, no, there's another guy, but he was he was the only one who knew how to take care of the Chinese range. So there was nobody else to take care of South Indian place, so they put me there. And since it was Delhi, we didn't have a South Indian menu for lunch or dinner. It was only breakfast. And I was working for breakfast almost for 1 year, which I got bored of. So I said, if this is going to be the way it's going to work, I probably want to quit my management trainee because I want to learn more. I mean, it made me a lot stronger because I was the only person taking care of it. And then there was a culinary Olympics that ITC conducted from chefs across India only from ITC. And you didn't have to have any position. You can be a management trainee, you can be an intern, you can be a sous chef, you can participate. So my chef asked me if I want to participate in the progressive South Indian. So I said, okay, something new has come up. At least something I look forward to the next 2 months. Let's just take it. So I took it and I worked towards it with a couple of my other batchmates who helped me through this thing. And then once I went there, I knew that I was the only trainee. Everybody else were CDPs, sous chefs, running a restaurant. And I'm like, what do I don't even stand a chance here. But I think my attitude and how I put myself across took me a little longer than my food itself back then. So I won third, and then later I came to know that that was a sort of a selection for Avartan.
Mm-hmm.
So then, fortunately, very luckily, like though the rest of my batchmates got posted in coffee shops, I got posted in Avartan. So a pre-opening project again. So I was working with 3 other people. One chef worked at Arpej, which is a Michelin Star in France, who came back. He was a CDP. And then 2 of the other people who who were working with the ITC for almost very long time and knew that the project was coming up. They've been working even further, like longer than when I joined, like 6 months into the project. So they knew what they were doing. So I was thrown into that place. And since, like I said, a lot of pre-opening, understanding cuisine of that part of the world, trying to work with different people, understanding their taste buds, why they're pairing these two together. Because even though I was with ITC for almost 2 years, you don't learn a lot in terms of how to cook, and you're already asked to create. So you need to learn both together. So it was a super fun project, and I think one of the best teams that I've worked with also, apart from Founder. There.
Anything that you contributed, like which is still there in the menu today?
Yeah, the dumplings, a version of how we have Kolkata in South India. The dumplings is something that the dumpling itself, the structure of how we could serve a steamed course, something that I introduced, and they still have it on the menu.
When do you add cold syrup to hot cake and hot syrup to cold?
Absorption is higher
Okay.
when that is
And
there.
it makes the taste better, is it?
It doesn't, when it's only for absorption, pouring a syrup into a hot cake, I think it's more for its moisture than for the taste by itself.
Mm-hmm.
I think also if you happen to pour a hot syrup on a hot cake, also works, but I think the proportion is something that you have to know so that you don't oversoak the cake that crumbles.
Is it all about skin, stem, and seeds now?
Yes, a lot more of knowledge also. I think knowledge and skills have to go hand in hand for any chef.
Yeah.
It is not just being great in the kitchen alone.
What is nouvelle cuisine?
Nouvelle cuisine basically meant less is more sort of a situation where you don't have to do a lot of things on the plate. Yet certain things that you do is more perfect and usually a very small piece of food with a very large plate. That's how it started off when I wanted to understand what or always try to remember what nouvelle cuisine was. Even now in Family we have a plate which we call nouvelle plate, where it's a really huge plate. Whatever you put in it will still look small. So I tell people like, bring me the nouvelle plate.
I've never heard of this before. It's interesting. So the two chefs that you said inspired you a lot, their name Ran.
Grand Tickets and Matt Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been to the Alina?
Alini I have not been to. It's a dream to be there. Matt Orlando, yes, of course I've been once when I was in Copenhagen.
Do you like any particular dish there?
Apart from his experience, I went for his fried chicken evening. So a glass of beer or wine and fried chicken with some vinegar and some icing sugars, nice bread, pickles. People from across the like Copenhagen there only. They come for the evening and then they just randomly talk and meet people. So yeah, it was nice. That's one evening that I really like because apart from doing what he does at Amas, what he was doing at Amas then, he used to do such kind of evenings to bring people together. So it was nice.
Grand Ashat's new menu has some terms like activators for side dishes. Do you have something like that on Farmlaw's Kitchen?
So our cuisine is very different as such, and Grand Tickets is always ahead of his
Yeah.
time. He's that kind of a chef. So right now, not got there, but don't know how Farmlaw's cuisine also has taken it's evolved over the last 3.5 years. How it started off and how it is right now is very very different. So we'll see how where it goes.
Matt Orlando's new concept, anything that you want to pick up?
No, I'm just very impressed by what he's doing, how he's collaborating with different people and doing different things.
Yeah.
So try and like take inspiration from what they do in terms of sustainability and see if we can incorporate it. Even the recent internship that I went to at Locavor in Indonesia is again they call it a hyper local restaurant with focus on sustainability. It's basically a full circle from what they use to how it comes back into like even their waste getting used in their hand washes and different things like that. Try and build an institute rather than just a restaurant. So that's something that we would like to eventually do with Farmlore.
Okay.
Build it into an institute where people can come and learn from us.
Tell us something about this concept of AIR, awareness, impact, and responsibility.
So personally, even air is a very I need to go there and experience it
Yeah.
for me to understand.
That's
I
Singapore now.
yes, so I have spoken to Chef Matt Orlando about it, and I would like to eventually go visit that place and see what it has to.
He
do.
was in Bangalore too, right?
Yes, he was in. I don't know if he was in Bangalore. I think he was in Mumbai. No, he was in Bangalore.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed that. No, I didn't.
And
How can one reduce calories in biryani or pizza?
I don't want to answer that question. I don't believe in calories.
okay.
For me, I personally believe I eat like how I like to eat.
Yeah.
I like to work out.
Okay.
That's all. I'm not one of those chefs who insist or look forward to doing anything with healthy as a priority. If the dish comes out in such a way that it turns out to be a really healthy plate, well and good.
Okay.
But I don't focus on
the
healthy
nutrition.
being the nutrition being part of the a thing for me creating a plate.
Got it.
Describe your food philosophy in 3 words.
Comfort, challenge or creative, adaptability.
So
Tell us about your awards and the experience that comes with them.
Okay, so first one, the smallest one, is the Culinary Olympics, which helped me, or that's the reason why I went to Avartan as a chef itself. So that was the first one. After that, during COVID, there was this company called Rate My Plate 2020. So basically, it was a cookbook that was put together by different chefs of their recipes, basically their comfort recipes. And the competition was we had to take one of the chefs as an inspiration and their dish. So in this case, a chef from Bolivia, I took her dish, and it was a carrot dish, and carrot and yogurt, and some spices inspired dish. And I turned it, and I took inspiration from Karnataka and Majjige Huli, and how we use buttermilk again, and did a plate on that. It was, of course, rated by the chef's top 5 chefs back then, and I won. So that, when I won that, the only thing that they gave is you get a red carpet entry for the World's 50 Best Restaurant Awards for 2022.
wow.
So I got to go to London and meet like the 50 best chefs of that year. It was like insane, like just to go there and see all these chefs who you just see on internet and just get inspired by seeing their food on this thing, no? More than just like standing next to them, just saying hi, like even taking a photo. Like it was insane, like to meet so many chefs, so many people from across the globe. And London also was such a nice place in terms of how many restaurants I got to try and meet these chefs. So that happened. After the San Pellegrino happened, so as of now, I stand there. That's what it is.
What's your future plan for Farm Lore?
So of course, farm law, I don't know what the future plans is. Of course, I'm just one of them. It's Chef Johnson and Kaushik who probably answer for that. But we are coming up with an R&D space for the restaurant, where we can try and create something. We can have R&D chef. It's me and Johnson who will constantly keep evolving with what we can do at the restaurant. That's something that I see for the next 1 year of what Farm Lore is building on. But if I have to say something for Mythrayie, later, maybe I definitely want to do something with fermentation. I will have a small store where I keep working on that, and breads. I love working on breads. Even at the restaurant, I personally take care of the thing that I should do with breads. So it will be sort of a delay or a deli.
Yeah.
Have ferments, breads,
And what
sandwiches,
about-
something. Sorry?
What about a book?
What about a book?
Cookbook.
Maybe. Maybe that's a long shot. Like once I get the space, like I said, definitely the space, and I'm looking at maybe a team of 5 or 7, like very creative people, and have something for them and do something together. So we'll see where all this comes along. Slowly putting the team together, and hopefully comes out sooner.
Anything new that you've come up with breads?
So with Farmler, we try and keep experimenting with the stone bread. Failures and success mostly. And,
What is stone bread?
So stone, because we use only wood fire for everything that we cook at the restaurant. So we have one wood fire oven and one pit, where we call it Kannagi and Anjaneya, because they set cities on fire and we set them on fire every day. So to learn different techniques of wood fire cooking was something I learned again in these 5 years. Just working on gas and how long it would generally take to cook an ingredient, something we always know. But wood fire is totally different. Some things ranging from about 30 minutes to 40 minutes, something taking just like a couple of seconds to 1 minute to cook. So I've ended up burning things, I've ended up cooking something very delicious. So wood fire took a lot of time for me to get used to, but now I can only cook on wood fire. I don't feel comfortable cooking on gas. So trying and seeing how breads can be fired in wood fire, apart from just flat breads, or we don't do pizzas, of course, at the restaurant at all. Apart from just flat breads or stuffed bread, how to probably wrap a bread dough around a hot stone or like a stone and put it at a particular place where it comes out something nice. So yes, these kind of experiments we do. Sometimes it comes out really nice, but it's not probably feasible for us to do it for service for a restaurant. So we try and see what works out. But yeah, nothing new that
Something new with the wood fire concept?
we try and do a lot of puddings. Try and see how to cook meats, but breads I have not aced in wood fire as of now, and always had a successful result. Because wood fire you can't control heat as accurately as an oven can be done. So yeah,
Anything with puddings?
very old ones. We did a peach and orange one, but very old. But recently, not much.
Thank you, Mythrayie, for joining us. I
Thank you,
really enjoyed the session and I hope you did too.
Me too. It was fun.
Thank you so much.
Yes.